Hey there, future teacher, and welcome to another lesson on how to pass your CSET multiple subjects exam. My name's Elliot Zelinskis. I've passed the CSET test. Now it's my job to help you do the same thing. This lesson is going to cover everything you need to know, all about the big topic of world history. I've picked out the parts that I think are most important, and so before we dive into this, if you're not already enrolled into the full test prep, click the link in the description below to get access to this study guide, these videos, and the full-length timed practice test. Without further ado, let's begin. Ancient civilizations. That's the first topic we're going to talk about. Now, the world history portion of your CSET test will ask you to demonstrate your knowledge, your understanding of the impact, the traditions, and the contributions of the following ancient civilizations. First, we're going to start with Mesopotamia. Now, this is a historical region located in Western Asia that runs along the Tigris-Euphrates River. This region now includes countries like Iraq, Turkey, Iran, Syria, and Kuwait. Now, from around 150 BC, this region was a battleground between the Romans and the Parthians. Mesopotamia is known as one of the earliest civilizations that has ever existed in the world. Renowned inventions that came from Mesopotamia include the invention of the wheel, planting the first cereal crops, the development of cursive script, as well as great breakthroughs in math, astronomy, and agriculture. Important traditions of the Mesopotamians included singing songs and passing stories down using verbal communication. Let's now move on to the Egyptians. Now, a long-running civilization that geographically stretches from the Mediterranean on the west to a land of the desert on the east. Egypt is one of the most densely populated areas situated around the Nile River. The ancient Egyptians made great steps in advancing math, writing, medicine, and music. They built massive pyramids and temples. They had a unique government system where pharaohs ruled. Now let's move on to Kush. This kingdom of Kush, which is now northern Sudan, stretched from the Upper Nile to the Red Sea. This area was a famous marketplace for people from the Arabian Desert and the Mediterranean basin in order to meet and trade objects like gold, ivory, ebony, and animal pelts too. Interestingly, the rulers of the kingdom of Kush lived very similarly to that of ancient Egyptian rulers. The cultures were similar in ways of government, culture, and religion. The people from the kingdom of Kush also constructed pyramids as burial sites, mummified the dead, and even worshipped Egyptian gods. Let's now talk about the Greeks. The ancient Greeks made vital contributions to math, astronomy, and philosophy, as well as medicine. Drama, literature, and theater were highly valued in aspects of Greek life and culture. They were also extraordinary artists. Some of the greatest sculptors and most revolutionary architectural structures were built by the ancient Greeks. Now let's move on to the Indians. Ancient Indians forwarded ideas about mathematics, dance, religion, and what family means too. Indians invented the number system using a zero that has been considered to be one of the greatest impacts in history. Many other math concepts originated from India, including calculus, algebra, the value of pi, and trigonometry. Indian religion is based on the concept of dharma and karma. They also had their own philosophies, which practiced nonviolence. Now let's move on to the Chinese. Ancient Chinese are responsible for inventing many products that we have today. Such products include paper, printing press, silk, and the compass. Furthermore, philosophies like Confucianism and Taoism came from China, which has continued to impact lots of people throughout the world. Throughout history, the Chinese have created specialized martial arts, such as Kung Fu, as well as performing arts, such as the Beijing Opera. Now let's go on to the Romans. This ancient Roman Empire thrived for thousands of years. They developed science, technology, tools, and methods that have shaped our world profoundly. Specifically, the Romans were excellent engineers. They developed aqueducts to help water flow from a large body of water straight into the city. Language, literature, and philosophy are also important areas of the ancient Roman Empire. Now let's talk about Babylon. Babylon was known to be a great city which served as the capital of Babylonia. This ruler built an empire that lasted from around 1800 to 1500 BC. This was a unified region under the centralized government. The Babylonian Empire differed from preceding civilizations because past empires, such as the Sumerian Empire, were fragmented. The city-state of Babylon, however, ruled over an entire region with a centralized government. This was unique for the time. To find a parallel example, think of the Roman Empire. Next, we have the Hittites. The Hittites pioneered iron smelting and flourished during the Bronze Age. Now, let's talk about the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians dominated the Mediterranean trade. They were experts at importing and exporting goods via water vessels. The Phoenicians created an alphabet consisting of 22 consonants. The Greek later adopted their linguistic work and added vowels. This later would be used to create Western languages. Now let's talk about Assyria. Assyrians conquered much of Mesopotamia using terror and intimidation tactics. Assyrians were called the Romans of Asia for their organized fighting formations and excellently built weaponry. The Assyrian Empire fell under Babylonian control around the 1300s BC. Now we have the New Babylon. The Chaldeans conquered Mesopotamia, Syria, and Palestine and established the New Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar. The Chaldeans were famous for their understanding of astrology. Nebuchadnezzar ruled over New Babylon, which famously used the advanced system of bureaucracy. Now we have the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire existed as the largest geographical empire of ancient times. Persians practiced Zoroastrianism, an ethics-based religion that believed in gods of nature, the sun, sky, fire, and a prophet named Zoroaster. The Persian Empire eventually fell to Alexander the Great. Next, let's talk about the Pre-Columbian American time. This refers to the period in the Americas before Christopher Columbus's arrival. The cultures during this time share characteristics of growing crops, praying to deities of natural forces, believing in human sacrifice, and architectural building. The role of Christianity in medieval and early modern Europe. Let's go to this now. This was used to control the powers of the people via the church. This was an important aspect in the feudal system. Christianity played a major role in people's lives during the medieval times. They used the church as the center of the town for all types of gatherings. As Christianity continued to spread, the beliefs of the church became more profound. These influences included social, welfare, politics, family life, and even healthcare. The role of Islam and its impact on Arabia, Africa, Europe, and Asia. Let's talk about this. This started in the Arab Peninsula and quickly spread throughout the land of the Far East and then across North Africa too. During this time of the religious growth, the Muslim world was experiencing a time of economic and cultural as well as scientific flourishment. Meccan trade routes brought desert tribes together. Through the writings in philosophy, the teachings of Islam spread into Europe. In Iran and Central Asia, the cross-cultural rulings under the Mongol control developed a distinctive influence from Arab culture. Next, we'll talk about the development of the Renaissance and the scientific revolution in Europe. This was the major proponent of revolutionizing the growth of humanism. From writers to artists, this was a period when people spent time studying and observing the natural world. The movement was carried out following curiosity and interest, which led to the scientific revolution. During this time, the development of alchemy allowed chemists to make great progress towards changing and interacting with the different types of metals. The scientific revolution created a series of advancements in mathematics, astronomy, physics, biology, and chemistry. Now let's move on to the development of early modern capitalism. It emerged in northwestern Europe, particularly Great Britain and the Netherlands. We have learned that the consequence of capitalism is that it can cause damage to the environment, inequalities, and great economic bubbles. Now, let's move on to the description of democracy. Coming from the Great Britain rule, life today would be entirely different if we didn't make the switch to democracy. Scholars argue that the Magna Carta helped emerge democracy as the dominant political form. The document of the Magna Carta helped us shape logic, but it was the movement of the Enlightenment period that shifted philosophical thought toward democracy. Furthermore, if we would have stayed within the monarchy rule, privatized entrepreneurship wouldn't exist as it does today. This is because industries would be powered by states instead of individuals.